Hi, I'm Kelly,
I'm Allison.
I'm Leah.
And I'm Kristen.
and this is Fear and Wine. Hi, welcome to Fear and Wine. We are a podcast about horror TV shows, movies, and more, and we pair each watch with a glass of wine. Today we're continuing Welcome to Derry. We're on episode 4. This is one of the wild ones, and the title of this one is called The Great Swirling Apparatus of Our Planet's Function. That's, I think, the longest show title I've
What a
ever
great title.
seen.
I love it.
But it encompasses so much, I guess. Before we get into that, we'll do our question. And the question for this week is, we know that it feeds on the fear of its victims and often appears to them as monsters when in direct contact with a victim. And we've kind of asked this in another way before when we talked about our fears, but for you, if you were to be in the presence of it, what form do you think your it monster would take?
It could do just about anything, I feel.
I know. I feel like mine, because it seems to know, like, at your soul what you're most scared of. I still though feel like mine would be a giant earthworm with shark teeth, like Tremors. I still think that's what the
That
form my
is
monster would
scary.
take. Yeah,
That is
feel
very
like
scary.
terrified of worms.
I feel like mine would just be something different each time, to the point where I'd probably just go insane, because it's like
Yeah.
this weird things just keep coming towards me and I don't know where they're coming from.
It's not the culmination of like one big fear. It's like a bunch of
No,
little
it's
fears.
just a bunch of different little, each
Yeah.
time it's
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even know, here it is again. It's like, oh, well.
Mine would be a scary movie. No. I think mine would be like, if it really wanted to get me, it would hide under my bed.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
something
You know?
that keeps like tickling your ankles.
Yeah,
or something.
because it's
Ooh.
like I still don't want to stand next to my bed with my feet exposed or hang my feet off the bed when I'm sleeping. No. So it'd probably, I feel like, do something like that to me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's a good one.
I mean, it's very extreme. The stuff that it
does.
I-
It's really
it
extreme,
does.
yeah.
Yes, it's so extreme. So I don't know.
Yeah, like to be Ronnie's dead mom, and then the form it's gonna take to attack someone today is
Yeah.
insane. So
Not Skeleton Man.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like it takes something that it knows that they're afraid of in real life,
yeah,
and then just
it's giving them nightmares.
blows it up.
Mhm.
But it's like,
I had
who
a-
wouldn't be scared of that?
Right.
That's
You know?
true. Yeah, Kristen,
I had a
did
hard
you come
time-
up
well,
with
no,
one
I had
that
a
you
hard
think might-
time because I'm really having a hard time with this. To me, I could think of conceptual things that are
Right, but not a
terrifying, but
specific monster shape.
not like a
yeah.
certain monster. I think I end up thinking they look
Interesting.
silly. At least all of the
Oh,
yeah. Well, see, for me,
Okay.
clowns are the thing that scared. And I didn't want to say clowns because I mean, obviously, Pennywise is the
Mhm.
clown, but
That's
that
legit,
was
though.
what scared me as a kid.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Mhm.
I find that clown with the teeth probably to be the most scary kind of version. But at the same time,
Why do
Mhm.
so many people have an aversion to clowns? I wonder. Because it's a very like prominent fear.
for me, it was
that a lot of people
Poltergeist
have.
that instilled the fear in me. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know for others what like the motivation,
Yeah,
but
I don't know what started it.
Like I can see why they are creepy, but I'm not like inherently scared of
Yeah, I'm not
clowns.
either.
Yeah. Which is
Oh,
surprising
see, I
considering
am.
your mascot thing. I almost feel like they're one
Yeah.
and the same.
Well, no,
in a
they don't
way.
need to come near me, but like I don't need. But I'm not. But if I like see one, I'm not like you know?
Yeah. Yeah, like I
this is
can't
me
look at it.
running.
Right.
Nobody needs to come near me.
I
but-
wonder, I wonder if it was like, did it start more with like the whole John Wayne Gacy of it all, and just like seeing this guy as a
maybe.
clown that's a real killer because it was so
That's
real?
possible.
I wonder. I
I
don't know
don't
what
know.
started it,
Or
because it
back in
couldn't
the
have
day, there were
been-
like more sad ones. I mean, that's kind of
Yeah, it couldn't have been that long ago that the fear started, because clowns were, like we were just talking about, circus and carnivals. They were such a part of people's
Yeah.
enjoyment as
And
as
he was
childhood.
a
He was a
very
clown. Yeah.
scary looking clown.
So
Like
And
there
see, I
was
didn't-
nothing entertaining about John Wayne Gacy's
No.
clown getup.
No,
They
not at
barely
all.
put effort into it. It looked like to me. I'm like, good lord, the
I
makeup
never
wasn't
had
set
a-
right.
I never had a
Right.
problem with Ronald McDonald, and I think it's because I knew it was just a person with paint on their face,
Right.
Yeah.
and not
yeah.
in a full-on costume.
I mean, the
Like
whole
a-
Ronald McDonald, like his personality is more scary than anything. He's very in your face.
I don't know. I just know I got nuggets when I saw him. So.
You didn't
It
know
didn't
he came
bother
with
me
food.
much.
so
I was
that
like,
was
yeah,
fine.
you're good with me.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
Lord.
funny.
Well,
What could
We'll
so
go
what could
ahead and
Pennywise
oh,
use
good.
to lure you down into the sewer?
Oh.
Anything.
That's a
Jim
good one.
Allison?
It's very
Ooh.
different. It's a
I
very
was gonna say
different question.
nuggets,
So
apparently. It is. That's a good question. That's probably one we should have done.
I
What
don't-
could he lure you?
no, it just popped into my
Hmm.
head.
I mean, I guess
Hmm.
honestly, I think it would be the tactic that he uses a lot of times in just trying to rescue someone you care about. Like if you
Yeah.
think someone that
Yeah.
you know or love is in distress
Puppies,
down
that
there,
would get me.
or a puppy, yeah, it would get you to. It would probably get me to go down
But
there.
wait, why are you down there though?
If he
You
said
know what I
Bernie
mean? Like if
Sanders is
somebody I knew
president down
fell into the
here,
sewer, that's one thing. But
I'd slide right
If
down.
it's what did you say?
So if he said
if what?
Bernie
If Bernie
Sanders is
Sanders was
president down here,
president?
I'd slide right in there.
Right.
Literally.
well, remember
like,
for a while there were those memes floating around everywhere where it was Pennywise and it was like,
yeah.
saying I got such and such down here, and
Yeah,
Mhm.
it
and
was
the girl
like
sliding
stuff
through the
people were
thing.
into,
That's what actually that was the image that I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
of, which made me think of it. But yeah, okay. Anyway, I was just curious.
Yeah, but that's a good question. I love that Leo's like, well, wait, how did you get there? Before I go down there, how did you
Right.
get down there?
Right.
Yeah,
but
Can't you
but
just
you know
boost
what?
them up?
Yeah, but then I think back. Remember where all those kids were just falling into wells? So I
Yes.
don't
Yeah, that did
Oh my
happen for a
gosh, yes,
while.
baby Jessica.
Yeah.
maybe
Baby
that's
Jessica.
maybe.
Why?
Oh yeah, we don't know, Allison. There was just a rash of kids in the '80s falling into wells, and we
In
don't
the
know.
Lassie show. Lassie, what happened? Somebody fell in the well
need to look
again?
into that.
The '80s was just weird. I don't know why that happened,
Unhinged.
but it was just all of a sudden.
Unhinged.
Yeah.
The storylines in
And
our
where are all these
shows.
wells coming from? I've never seen a
know.
well like in real life,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Baby
But-
Jessica. Sorry.
But it shouldn't be as funny as it is. But it
I'm
was
sorry,
fine.
Baby Jessica.
They
Yeah,
saved her.
yeah.
It turned out fine. Yeah,
Yeah, they saved her.
they got him
Okay.
out, but it
It was a
just
very
like-
big news story.
Yeah.
It was.
Shout
Okay.
out baby Jessica.
This episode's wine pairing is First and Local Cabernet, made in California from the makers of Josh Cellars. This full-body Cabernet shows aromas of ripe black currant, smoke, and saddle, and lead to flavors of dark cherry and ripe plum with a hint of vanilla and cocoa. This red wine has a firm and approachable structure with a balanced and long finish. Pair this wine with beef, smoked meats, duck, and wild game. Enjoy. For more information about us and all of the wines that we feature, visit our website at fearandwine.com. And make sure you follow Fear and Wine wherever you listen to podcasts so that you don't miss a new episode. And if you like us, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. Thanks. Like I said earlier, this episode is titled The Great Swirling Apparatus of Our Planet's Function. And I'm going to give a little trigger warning for this episode for people like me who have issues with things coming in, near, around their eyes. If you have any sort of eye freakiness, this might
Oh.
not be the episode for you to watch because
All right.
that stuff bothers me. Anything with eyes.
Can you touch your eye?
No,
Like,
I
if
could
you
never
have
wear
to?
contacts.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Okay.
Because I think I touched my eye to like itch it or rub it one day, and my daughter looked at me with the most disgust on her face. She was like, "How are you doing that?" I was like, "You
No.
can't touch your eye," and I like poked my
Your
eye, made it
eyeball?
move, and she was like, "What the hell?"
No.
Yes, yes.
Oh yeah, I do that.
That doesn't
sometimes. I
bother
feel
me.
like- especially if I feel something's in there, I'll just
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I
let
like
it
throw
rub around
water
on my
in it.
finger until I
Yeah.
can get it out.
I don't want any sharp objects coming near it
No.
or anything like that. But
Yeah, I still remember like an episode of Grey's Anatomy that I still have to look away. And I love surgeries. I will watch all the gross stuff. But if it has
Ugh.
anything to do with eyes, there's a scene where this kid gets a pencil stuck in his eye, and I have to
Ugh.
look away every time I
Ugh.
watch that episode.
How'd that get in there?
A bus accident. There was an accident while he was holding the
Okay,
pencil.
now I gotta put the pens and pencils away when I
Well,
get
you-
on a bus.
Yeah.
You know how I am
Don't do that.
about body horror and seeing things, but my daughter
Mhm.
had an eye emergency, and I had to kind of be pretty much 6 inches from her face while they injected her cornea with a needle.
Oh wow.
And for some reason, it didn't phase me in the least. But I think it was just because I needed to make sure, like I was helping to hold her down in the moment because they couldn't get her
Mhm.
under
Yeah.
anesthesia fast enough. But it was crazy
You
that it
probably
didn't bother
access
me
a
then.
different with the mom
Yeah.
power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
A
It
different
was
part of
interesting.
your being to do that. Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel like I probably would have fainted. But yeah, interesting. My
No, I'd
amygdala
have
must
to
been
leave the
turned
room.
off.
Aw.
Mhm.
Well, and your poor daughter having to deal with all that with her.
Oh yeah,
That's true. Yeah,
Eye,
you
you
probably also
know.
got used to the eye stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no choice.
So this episode begins the morning after the graveyard adventure, and the kids are racing their bikes through downtown Derry to the police station to show them the photo evidence that they got. They get to Chief Bauer's office, which I don't think we've ever mentioned yet because we've seen the chief a couple times now. And did your daughters notice, Kristen, that this Chief Bowers is the grandfather of the bully in
Oh,
all the It
no. Is that
movies?
the guy named Clint
Yeah,
that
they
was
have the same last name.
okay.
Yeah.
Was he the one that was like kind of harassing not there's too many names. Ronnie's dad?
Y-
Same cop though?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
he's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
chief.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be the
The
same cop,
chief.
and we'll see
Isn't
him a lot. But yeah,
isn't
the chief.
Bowers
Yeah.
the name of the kid in Stranger Things?
Is there a
Oh, it
Bowers in
is.
Stranger? There could be. I
Will
don't know. You
Bowers,
saw me
right?
do that
Yeah.
Stranger Things
Byers. No, he's
quiz,
Byers.
so
Thought so.
he's
Oh,
Byers.
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 Okay,
Byers,
sorry, I was
yeah.
confusing the two. Okay,
Close. Okay.
You know, I don't know people's names. So. Yeah, Allison Kristen sent me that Stranger Things like quiz that they were giving their parents to like Nate. Have you seen every episode, but you couldn't remember like the characters' names? I failed
names.
it. I didn't know anybody's. Yeah, I was like, I kept like I was going through. I was like, oh, that's the guy. I knew their plot points. I was like, that's the guy that did this, but I did not know anybody's name.
Yeah.
But you know,
No
I call
names.
people by like their
The act-
original movie names.
Exactly. I said Winona Ryder when her picture came up. I was just, yeah.
I'd be like, you know, Beetlejuice when she
Lydia
came in.
That's true. She'll refer to old movies and be like,
Because
who's
that's all I can
that?
remember them from.
Beetlejuice. That's funny.
Yeah.
When Beetlejuice
Watching
walked
Batman
in,
talking
that's
about
when-
Beetlejuice. Anyway. So they get to Chief Bauer's office and they hand him over this envelope with all the photos in it. And they explain that whatever killed Teddy, Phil, and Susie came after them again that night in the cemetery. The chief asked them why were they in the cemetery because remember, there's a curfew. So Rich starts talking about his cousin. He goes into that whole thing that he was explaining about the seance, but Will and Ronnie cut him off before he tells too much and tell the chief that they were just cutting through the cemetery to get home faster. So the chief decides he's going to indulge them, and he opens his envelope to look at the photos. And he has two other cops in there with him, and they look over his shoulder, and they're like, oh, my gosh, this is unbelievable. So the kids are all super excited because their plan worked, and they got these great photos, and they can prove that this was not Hank Grogan that did this. But it turns out that the police were just having fun with them, and the photos show just statues and gravestones with bird shit on them, and there's no ghost to be found in these.
Come on.
I know they didn't get the photos they thought they did.
But they could see in
They
the
could
photos when they
see
developed
them.
them.
But was that the monster playing with them, giving them
Right.
the hope, because it,
That son of a bitch.
yeah. So the kids are shocked and upset that the photos they developed the night before are not what's showing up now. But Will sees that there is a photo that they have of that clown that I thought was a skeleton in a sombrero. It does show up. And he points it out to the police, and they still can't really see it. So the police apparently must be an adult thing because the police see what I see. They don't see anything there. And the Chief Bowers tells Lily that all this is proof of is that she should still be in a nut house. And he tells them to stay out of police business or the ghouls and ghosts that they're worried about are going to be the least of their problems.
Real quick, can I touch on something? So you said or Kristen mentioned, I think in the last episode that we covered about how somebody's grandmother's soul was like up there in the bunch of souls that Pennywise
Yeah.
had taken.
Halloran's.
Yeah, but doesn't he focus on kids though? Like, why did he have a grandma soul up there?
Well,
Oh
I
no,
think
he can see
does
all
tend to
kinds of dead
focus-
people and things and yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, go ahead, Kelly. You answer.
But it was one that had Pennywise taken her, or like was he seeing just other souls from
I don't-
other?
I don't
Like, I
know
don't-
if we find that out or if that was part of him luring Dick into that
Mm.
into what he needed to see.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
what I thought
Okay,
too.
that's possible. Okay, that makes
His
fine.
grandma was the one that told him like what his ability was. He mentions that when he's talking to Hanlon on the porch, that she told him it was like being able to see
Mhm.
things even when you couldn't see things. And so I think
Mhm.
he connected with his grandma the most about his ability. So I think
see.
I think it was her coming through that thing to warn him, get the hell out of
Through
here
that
kind of
veil,
thing.
kinda,
Okay.
yeah.
That
Mhm.
makes more sense. I was
'Cause-
thinking, like, did Pennywise attack all sorts of people, and then he just realized that kids were easier to scare, maybe over
It's
time, and he started to
possible.
focus on them?
Actually,
or
that is possible.
I didn't know. I didn't.
That's
No,
very
that is
that's very
possible,
possible
Leah.
that he just kind of narrowed down his
Okay.
taste over time to
Right.
to it being
Mhm.
kids. And we do kind of learn that his grandmother has a bit of that shining as well. So I think that's just their way they connected in that
Gotcha. Okay.
moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
That helps.
So back at school, the kids are all talking and trying to figure out what's going on, and Will suggests that they should look into Derry's history and find out if anything like what they're experiencing now has ever happened before. See, Will's so smart. Ronnie suggests Lily ask her mom since her mom grew up in Derry, but Lily says no. If I start asking her about stuff like this, she's just going to send me back to Juniper Hill. Ronnie gets upset again. Ronnie has a very short temper. She doesn't tolerate a lot. But she's like, if we don't do anything, they're going to transfer my dad to Shawshank and he will never come back from that place. And Rich tells her that no matter what, no adult is ever going to just believe them. And that's when Lily realizes that there is an adult that she can talk to who just might listen to them. We then cut over to Lily at a diner having coffee with her favorite housekeeping staff worker from Juniper Hill, and her name is Ingrid. And her name is actually Ingrid Kirsch. And if you recognize that last name, it's because her husband is the town butcher who helped Charlotte get her rump roast that first episode. So that's just a little connection there. He's the one who saw the boys fighting on the street and was like, boys will be boys.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ingrid tells her, now that you mention it, I do remember several kids going missing in the 30s. She said it was the Depression, though, and kids would just disappear overnight. She figured the kids ran away to look for work or something better, or to just help relieve their family's burdens because times were so tough. She said she never heard anything like what Lily is describing, though. But she does encourage Lily to not let that stop her from trying to figure out what's happening. Over at the Hanlon home, Charlotte is reading the paper, the story of Hank, and being accused of murdering kids, when she gets a knock at the door, and it's Rose, the Native American woman from the antique store Secondhand Rose. Rose is delivering some items that Charlotte had purchased, and Charlotte invites her in, and the two have coffee, and Rose tells her about her family and how her ancestors were among the first to settle here in the area, and how their homelands were much bigger back then. She says her people would follow the elk herds from Nova Scotia and back as they migrated, and that's how they lived before Manifest Destiny. Rose asks Charlotte how her husband is adjusting and if he's busy at work on that new pipeline. And Charlotte tells her that Leroy is a pilot, so he probably has nothing to do with the pipeline. But she really doesn't know what he does because he can't tell her anything about it. Charlotte then asks Rose about the incident at the theater and the story of the missing kids, and if Rose thinks that she needs to be concerned. And Rose answers her by saying, Derry is a beautiful place, but things do happen here from time to time. It's best to keep the ones you love close. Rose then gives Charlotte her number and basically says, if you ever want to hang out or chat, just give me a call. So we now go over to Dick Halloran and his buddies, and they're in a military jeep driving over to an abandoned-looking gated area, and they pull up to this large barn structure that is locked up, but Halloran has a key. And they go inside and find it's an old decommissioned military storage area, and the general has given them this as their new hangout place. So he did come through on his promise because remember they were in that tent that got rained on before, so he found them a little place that they can go hang out. And it's far enough from the base that they're not really going to be bothered or seen. Over at Derry High School, the kids are in class and they are watching a film of the old duck and cover nuclear blast instructional videos starring the iconic Bert the Turtle. So,
Because you have to make it adorable, right?
Yes, yeah. So Bert the Turtle, real quick, he was a real thing in the 50s, and these instructional films were real.
Oh.
But in the whole It realm and world, turtles are referenced and images of them are peppered throughout the Welcome to Derry and It movies. And then later on in this recap, I'll explain more about why the turtles are important and what that all means. But Bert the Turtle was a real thing. But for now, the kids are learning from Bert how to survive a nuclear blast. So that's when they would teach them just get under your desk and pray, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, because the desk will definitely
Yes.
save you from that radiation.
Yeah. Lily seems like she has other things on her mind as the film is playing, and she looks over at Marge, and Marge is all smiles and waving at her like she's having the best day. After school, Will gets home, and he rushes as quickly and quietly as he can up to his room, and he's trying to grab that envelope of photos before his mom sees him. But his mom is on it, and she walks into his room holding the photos as he's looking for them. She says she found them while cleaning and wants to know why he has them and what's going on. Will tells her the whole story and that he's just trying to help his friend Ronnie and her dad, and he believes that Ronnie's dad did not kill those kids. Charlotte is concerned but understanding. She does tell him, however, that until she's comfortable with what's going on in this town, he can't be out late with his friends anymore. He has to go to school and then come straight home. That night at dinner, Leroy asks Will about school and what's going on, and Will doesn't know what to say. He and his mom have already decided they should keep the whole cemetery story and all that jazz to themselves, but at the same time, Will can't lie to his dad. So his mom jumps in and helps him out and tells Leroy that there's a girl that Will has become friends with. So his dad laughs, thinking that this awkwardness is about a crush, and tells Charlotte to leave him alone and not embarrass him. Will excuses himself from the table and goes upstairs. And Charlotte suggests to Leroy that if he has the weekend free, he and Will should go do something together. So a few days later, Leroy and Will go fly fishing. While they're out fishing, they have probably been out there for maybe 20 minutes when Will asks, Dad, how long do we have to do this? Which is what I would be doing too.
Yeah.
And Leroy's like, what? This is the best. I'm having the time of my life. And Will just looks at him and gives him this face of, I'd rather be doing anything else. So then Leroy says, tell me about this girlfriend of yours. And Will says she's not my girlfriend. And his dad laughs, and this makes Will start laughing, and the two of them do start to have a better time. Suddenly, Will has something on his line, and he's excited that he's caught something, and he's trying to reel it in. And we can see that it's a fish, so nothing to worry about. But just as it gets close, he loses it, and the fish gets away. But Will is thrilled that he even just got a bite. In the struggle, he did lose the fly. So Leroy hands Will his line to watch, and he goes back to the car to get a new fly, leaving Will in the river by himself. All seems peaceful at first, but Will seems to start to get a bad feeling because he keeps looking around nervously like he can see something watching him. Just then, a big, very pretty orange fish swims right up to Will's legs. Will bends down to get a closer look at it, and he and the fish kind of lock eyes and have a moment together.
What?
I know. Just before the fish swims back down into the dark part of the water and disappears. But Will is still bent over looking for the fish when a hand pops up from out of the water and grabs him and pulls him under.
Mm-mm.
I do not want any big fish swimming around. I would have ran so fast out of that
No,
water
I'd have
if any
run. Yep.
large animal. Mm-mm.
And it looked
So,
like one of those
sorry.
big, pretty koi fish, but those freak
Yeah, it
me
was
out too.
pretty, but I
So,
still
Yeah,
don't want
I
it
don't
near
want
my
to be in the
legs.
water.
Mm-mm.
I don't want to
Right,
be in the water with
exactly.
it.
Mhm.
One
Okay,
time I
sorry.
went to the beach when I was younger. I was like a
Okay.
teenager, and I went to the beach with a friend of mine and her family, and we were walking along the edge of the beach. And I all of a sudden felt something touch my leg. I screamed. I jumped. It was
Hell,
like a
same.
T-shirt or
Probably. Yeah, I don't
something
care
that
if it
somebody.
feels.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It was like floating around. Yeah, no.
Right.
It was.
Or the
It coulda-
seaweed. That freaks me out every time
Yes.
it touches
Yeah,
my
same.
legs. Yeah.
It feels like
That's enough.
hair. It's
I do not
awful.
like it.
It's
I don't
awful.
want
Yeah.
to. I don't want something touching me. Yeah, no, I just don't want it. So
No.
I would have ran.
No.
So he
I totally
stayed
get it.
though. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. That's okay. So once he's under the water, we do get a look at what's holding him down, though, and it's his father. And his
Ooh.
father's face, we see that he has these eyes that are glowing yellow, and his skin looks a little weird, but it's underwater, so I didn't notice it first. But he has this evil look, and he says to Will, "You'll burn too." And Will is splashing around and yelling, and he yells so loud that his dad hears him and runs back over to him and grabs him and pulls him up from the relatively shallow water he's standing in. He just has to stand him up, and he's like, now he's like mid-calf deep.
Right.
But Will starts yelling, "It pulled me under, it pulled me under, it came out of the water." And his dad says, "What did?" And Will yells, "It was you, but your face was all burned up like that picture of you after the war when you went
Ooh.
down in that plane."
Oh.
So that was kind of the burn connection.
But he said
that I
you'll
was
burn
thinking, yeah.
too,
Mhm.
talking to Will. So maybe
Mhm.
Will does end up getting burned. I see what you're saying now.
I
Okay.
think he does, yeah.
Okay.
And Leroy's like, "Calm down, son, you're not making any sense." And Will yells, "It's the truth." And that's when Leroy sees cuts and marks on Will's wrists that weren't there before. Will tells him there's something here in Derry, something bad. And then Will looks behind his father and his eyes get really big. And then when Leroy turns around, the two of them watch as a lone red balloon goes floating by through the air and across the
Oh
river.
no. Oh
Yep.
no. Have you ever seen I think there was a time where maybe after the movie came out, people were like tying red balloons just like randomly to sewer drains and
Yeah, I thought
stuff
that was
all around.
marketing for the film.
It
I
could
didn't
have
know if that
been.
was people like, yeah,
Yeah, it could have been,
yeah.
but it worked.
It worked. I thought that was cool, yeah.
Very creepy.
Back in Chief Bauer's office, he's listening to the news on the radio, and they're talking about the Cuban missiles when he gets a visit from Charlotte Hanlon. She's there to talk to him about the kids and how someone or something scared them that night. Bowers says to her, "Well, with no real info or evidence to go on, there's not much we can do, but we'll look into it." Charlotte then suggests that if the kids are still being accosted, then isn't it possible that Hank Grogan could be an innocent man and not the child killer? Chief Bauer says, "Nope, not a chance. There's no way he's not the killer." They caught him, they questioned him, and he didn't have an alibi. Charlotte asks if Hank has been able to consult an attorney, and Chief Bowers is offended and tells her, "Ma'am, this isn't the South, and he and his family have had regular contact with the public defender's office." Charlotte apologizes if she has offended him, and she asks if she can speak to Hank, and Bowers tells her no because she's not counsel or family. She thanks him for his time and she leaves, and she goes outside and walks right to a payphone. She looks up Hank's phone number and calls his mother. We now cut to Charlotte over at Hank's house with his mom, and she explains that her son and Ronnie are friends and she just wanted to check in and see how they were doing. She tells Hank's mom that she was an activist when she lived down south and that she helped other colored people who got tricked into false confessions, and she wants to help Hank. Hank's mom says that there's nothing they can do. She thought he was in his room, but it turns out someone else saw him walking around that night. But she knows he didn't hurt any of those kids. Charlotte asks, well, if he wasn't here, where else could he have been that night? And his mom says, only Hank and God know, and neither of them are talking. Back over at their new little clubhouse, Halloran and his friends are cleaning the place up and making it look into a lounge, juke joint kind of place that's going to be their hangout, when suddenly Halloran has a psychic attack and he covers his ears like he hears this painfully loud noise. He then gets a vision, and it's a bunch of flashes, and we see a sink drain, a door slamming, and a woman screaming. And then he sees his grandmother, and he hears her voice say, "Dick, mind me, you keep that lid on tight." And then in the distance, he sees his grandmother standing in the woods in a white nightgown. The vision ends, though, when it's broken by a horn honking and the arrival of Leroy Hanlon. Leroy asks Dick if he has heard any more about their work on Operation Precept and when they might need to go fly again. Halloran says that that's above his pay grade, but he wouldn't be so eager to get back out there and put himself in the line of fire. There's a moment of tension between the two men because Leroy feels like he's being blown off or kept in the dark about something. He tells Halloran about how Will was attacked when they were fishing, and Halloran apologizes and asks if Will's okay, and he can see that Leroy is worried. Leroy flat out asks him, what the hell is it that we're really looking for? Is it a machine that fucks with your head? Halloran tells him he doesn't know exactly what it is, and he's not sure he wants to know. He just does what he's told. We go over to the kids now, and they are in their tower hangout, and Will is telling them about what happened when he and his dad were fishing. He asked them, how did it know that he's always had nightmares about his dad's plane going down in the war? He says he thinks that this thing can kill any of them anytime it wants to. Will then suggests, what if it doesn't want to kill us, though? What if it just wants to scare us? And then Rich points out that it killed the other kids, so why would it just want to scare them? And that's when it hits Will that this thing might feed off of their fear hormones like adrenaline and cortisol.
Again, Will,
Will,
smart.
so smart, yep.
Little genius.
He points out that there are other predatory animals that like the taste of fear too and stalk and scare their prey before feeding. So, real quick side note, this idea shows up again in the Dr. Sleep books in the Stephen King universe, and that's a film that's basically the sequel of The Shining. And it is about a clan of psychic vampires who feed on the life essence of people with The Shining. And they find that the more terrified their victims are, the better their steam, which is what they call that life essence, tastes. So I just thought that was an interesting little SKU tie-in there.
Yeah.
So then Ronnie says, okay, cool, but if you're right and it's not like we can just stop ourselves from being scared. And then Lily says, wait, what if we could? It cuts to the next day. The kids are in school, and the 4 kids are standing around Lily's locker, and Lily has gotten a hold of some of her mom's benzos that her
Oh my gosh.
that's what's going to help them. That her mom calls mommy's little helpers.
It's kind of not a bad plan.
It's not.
But also, you had mentioned how there are animals that stalk. I mean, obviously, we know like predators are going to stalk their prey and stuff like that. But I know you listen to a lot of like the Tooth and Claw podcast and stuff like that. Are there any animals you've heard of that do that like kind of for fun or for that purpose because they just enjoy scaring their prey first?
I mean, I don't know that we can prove that they prefer the taste of fear or not, but we know, I think the only animal that kills, maybe not so much for fun, but to prove a point other than humans are lions.
Yeah, felines and humans.
All right.
They're the only species
Yeah,
that kill for fun.
Not lions specifically. Kill for reasons other than survival or protection, basic
Oh,
things,
wow.
but
But what
for
about
dominance or
Elephants.
fun, yeah.
elephants seem to kind of do that.
No, that's
No.
always gonna
Protection
be
usually.
protection.
Yeah.
Got
They're
it.
like
Okay.
their motive. I think it's just felines and humans where the motivation doesn't nearly
It's
really have to
fun. They
be
do it for
anything but like
pleasure.
bravado or
Yeah.
fun, or right for
I mean, I
it
have
to get
seen
enjoyment from it.
Have you ever watched
maybe
your
like
cat?
killer whales. I know a lot of times will like play with their food or like seals and stuff and just flip
Yeah,
them around in the air, but I
they
don't.
will, but they're not gonna do
That's
it and
probably
just
just for
leave the
fun.
carcass. They're gonna still eat it. So maybe
Yeah, yeah.
maybe they like it to be a little scared, and maybe that makes
Maybe.
it taste good to them. But they're still
Oh,
gonna eat it. They're not just gonna like kill it and then just leave the body.
yeah. That's
So.
sad. Hmm.
Yeah,
Whereas,
but
like Kristen's gonna point out, you'll see your cats just kill stuff and then they
yeah,
don't
just
want
leave
it.
it. Like my
Right.
cats will
It's just
kill a
they just did it.
lizard, bat it around for a while like it's a little toy, and then just leave its dead body
Mhm.
laying there to rot,
And then
which is
just leave it.
terrible. So
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah, so.
but humans do that too with hunting. The mommy's little helpers thing is so funny because I have for years referred to
Mhm.
my when I go to bed, my as sleepy babies. So, and I got that
Yeah.
Mhm.
I got that from the
I
Gypsy
know.
Rose Blanchard's mom because she used to write it on at least in the show, she wrote it on Gypsy's medication, the sleepy
Oh, that's
babies.
right.
Yeah. But
Oh.
now I'm gonna call my other ones mommy's
That's
little
funny.
helpers for sure. So
So later in class, they're watching a science film on worms and snails, and much like I would
Oh,
be,
your favorite.
I know, we see that Marge is totally grossed out. So Marge is like, she and I share in this, and she's freaked out by this footage. Patty, which is the HBIC of the patty cakes, gets Marge's attention and signals for her to talk to Lily. So, in the middle of class, while the teacher is talking and the film is going, Marge taps Lily on the shoulder and apologizes for not being a good friend to her lately and asks if the two of them can have lunch together. And Lily says sure, and we see Patty give Marge a nod of approval. In town, Charlotte is back at the police station, and her husband's friend Polly notices her go in there and finds that to be a little odd. Inside the station, Charlotte presents a letter from Hank's mom and tells them that she has been given permission by Hank's mom to go talk to Hank. The officer tells her she's still got to get the okay from the chief, and he's not in and he doesn't know when he'll be back. Charlotte says, well, that just won't do. And the officer tells her, ma'am, you can either deal with it or you can find yourself in a cell next to Hank. So then Charlotte tells him that he clearly doesn't know who she is and what she can do with a telephone. She says, if you don't let me see Hank Grogan right now, then tomorrow morning I will have MLK, JFK, RFK, and some other FKs breathing down your neck and bus loads of freedom riders ready to march. Now, are you going to let me see him or should I make a call?
she's good in this part.
And then we cut to Hank and Charlotte talking. So she gets her way. Charlotte tells him that the cops have locked him up with no evidence and the public defender's office charged him without a bail hearing, which is his legal right. She says, we need to file papers citing prejudicial treatment and discrimination. Once that's done, it will allow you to skip bail altogether, and you will be able to go on house arrest until your trial. The chief is trying to send him to Shawshank like tomorrow, though, and Charlotte says that the paperwork does take a few days, but even if he does go to Shawshank, he will be getting out of there quickly. She tells them, though, that this will just be until his trial, so at some point he will have to come forward with the truth of where he really was that night. Hank gets very upset and starts yelling because he doesn't want his daughter to not have a father, but he says they won't understand if he says where he was. Charlotte remains calm and tells him she's on his side. He just has to say it. It will be better than going to prison. So finally, Hank confesses to her that he was with a married white woman that night. So now Charlotte realizes that his options are to tell the truth and be lynched or don't and face life in Shawshank. He's also worried about what the woman's husband might do to her. He says if there's any other way out of this, he will take it. Back in General Shaw's office, he gets word that the military has searched that area that Kristen mentioned in the last episode that Rose told them to stay away from, and they found nothing. So Rose kind of tricked them because now they have shown their hand and have revealed to Rose and the other Native Americans exactly what they are looking for.
Mm.
Shaw is getting worried, though, because they are running out of time. The killing cycle will end soon, and then it will be another 27 years before they get another chance. The officer suggests maybe they just call it a day, though, and pack up and move out of Derry altogether. Shaw gets an idea because he knows some of the Native American kids have been watching the base, but they're locked out and they seem to just be keeping an eye on things. So says, let's unlock the gates and let them in. Let them look around and let's see where they go. Over at school, Marge and Lily are having their lunch date, and Marge asks her how things are with her friends, and she looks over at Ronnie, Rich, and Will. And Lily tells her, if you're wanting me to gossip about them, I'm not interested. Marge says, no, I just don't know how to talk to you anymore. Things are so different since she got back from Juniper Hill. She asks Lily if they can start fresh, and Lily says she'd like that. Just then, some tall, dimpled-cheeked fuckboy comes over to the table.
Oh,
And
not the dimples.
I
damn it.
know.
It's always
And I
the
guess he's supposed to be
fuckboys.
like the hot,
It
it's always the
is.
fuckboy. He's supposed to be like the
Mhm.
hot jock kid. And
Yeah.
he gives them a little flirty hello, especially to Lily. And then he walks away douchily. Like, it's just so weird. He's just like, hi. And then he walks
Not
away.
douchily.
It was very douchily, yeah. And Marge is like, oh my gosh, did you see the way Tim Flanagan just looked at you? You should go talk to him. And Lily's
Ugh,
all, what? No
Even
way.
his name is douchey.
I know. Marge is like, no, he's totally sweet on you. At least say hi. So Lily gets excited and says, okay, but I'm going to go freshen up first. And she goes to the bathroom. Marge
What's
stays.
going to happen when you talk to this guy that you have to go freshen
I
up
don't know. I've
first?
never understood the whole freshen up thing a lot
Yeah.
of times. Like, I don't. I think it's just like
Check
when
your
you see people do
face.
it in movies or at
Yeah,
restaurants.
I guess,
It's just,
yeah.
it's just like to go gossip time. But yeah, or after you've eaten, I get it. So I
That's
don't know. What's
true.
happening.
Check your
Yeah.
breath. Yeah.
Yeah, or see if some stuff's in your teeth, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So Marge stays at the table, and we see her face change, and she looks sad and guilty now. But once Lily is gone, the patty cakes come over, and they ask Marge if Lily took the bait. Patty and her beta bitches are giddy, and they tell Marge that the second Lily goes over to Tim, he's going to embarrass her in front of everyone, and it's going to be boss. And that is exactly what they say.
It's going to be boss.
Mhm.
That's very funny.
So Marge goes into the bathroom to check on Lily, who is upset because she has developed a zit in the last 5 minutes. Marge,
Like
I don't see
literally, I
it,
didn't
but
see
she-
it
they
at the
only
table.
had-
Yeah.
yeah.
If they only had pimple patches back then.
Right. But Marge has some makeup and she's going to help her cover it. And Lily goes to do one last nervous pee. So while Lily's peeing, Marge's guilt gets the better of her and she starts crying and she's about to fess up to what she's doing to Lily and it all being a prank when Marge suddenly gets a terrible pain in her eye. She looks in the mirror and we see these red blood vessels filling the whites of her eyes. And then the eyeball suddenly juts forward
Mm-mm.
and is now starting
Oh.
to kind of protrude a little beyond
Mm.
the eyelid.
Mm-mm.
Oh, no.
Marge starts crying out in pain, and Lily, who's still on the toilet, is asking her what's wrong. Marge's hands are covering her face and her eyes, but when she removes her hands, we see that both eyes are bleeding
Mm.
and they have bulged out a little further.
No, the bulging is
Mhm.
no. I don't like
This
the
is
bulging.
all very upsetting.
Oh, it's more is coming. Yes.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So the second bulge is so much so that they have knocked her glasses off of her face.
Oh no!
And
Oh, no.
then, Leah, the eyes do another huge
No.
push.
No.
And the eyeballs are now torpedo shaped. And
no.
Yeah, they are.
Did you watch this
I
part, Kelly?
did. I watched it a few
Ugh.
times. I've watched it a few times. And it gets so much worse. And they're sticking
Oh,
all the way
God, it
out
always
beyond her
gets worse.
face. And now they're looking like the antenna of snails. So
Yeah.
you're seeing what her
Oh.
fear is
Oh,
coming
that's
into
kind
play.
of funny, actually.
Mhm. These are the same snails she was just grossed out about in science class.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
Marge is now screaming and crying for help, and Lily already knows what's probably happening. And before she leaves the stall, she takes out her compact where she's kept her mom's pills and is trying to get one out for Marge, but she's rushing and she gets nervous and fumbles it, and the pill goes into the toilet.
Ugh.
Why didn't you
Ew.
leave the stall first
What a
and then
waste.
go? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
Lil-
I imagine I would pull that pill out quick if my friend's eyeballs were turning into snail eyeballs.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing. She hasn't seen it yet. She just knows something is scaring her.
Yeah.
She's like, she's still in the
I
stall.
see.
So I think I would run out of the stall 1st and then go to the, I don't know.
Right.
Who knows? Anyway.
Man, I need 2 of those
Right.
mommy's little helpers for that shit.
So Lily yells out for Marge to wait, but Marge and her eyes have run screaming from the bathroom while Lily stays in, and now she's going to fish the pill out of the toilet.
No.
Now, just in case you're wondering,
Fuck
there is no
that.
pee in the water.
It
It's
doesn't
just-
matter.
There
It's
was
just-
before.
That was way too
I
much
don't- yeah,
time that passed
I know.
too.
There's probably
It was. It was.
half dissolved.
5-second
Exactly.
rule.
Yeah. But it is just regular, clear public toilet water. So Marge, who can still kind of see, but it's very distorted, runs into the woodshop classroom where there's all sorts of saws and chisels and other
no.
tools.
Oh shit! This does not
No.
Yes.
bode well.
Meanwhile, Lily has now gotten what's left of this pill out of the toilet, and she runs after Marge. Inside the classroom, Marge grabs a chisel and starts violently hacking away at her eyes to
Oh
cut
my
them off of
I
her.
can't.
God.
Or at least down to a manageable size. Like, she's just, like, stabbing, like, in the middle of them.
Yeah, but isn't like the seeing part on the end? Like,
I
I
don't
don't know. You
know.
think when they're that
why?
far out of your
It's
head,
so
you just want
upsetting.
them off.
Yeah, you just want them off
I
you.
don't think that you're worried about seeing anymore.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
however,
wow.
the chisel isn't working, and the tube-shaped eyes keep healing themselves and growing back just like snail antennae do. Marge throws down the chisel
Do
and
they?
yes.
I didn't know that.
Yep, like worms that their body is much like a worm's. It's gonna heal
Yeah.
itself and
Oh,
regrow.
very
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Which I'm assuming I don't remember it being in the film, but I'm guessing it's probably something they learned during that lesson
Yeah.
because it's in her head.
Right.
So Marge throws down the chisel and sees a large bandsaw. So this is the saw that's the tall one that's kind of shaped like a sewing machine. So it has that opening in the middle. So it's not like the table saw that you've seen in other horror films where you would think would be easier to get to.
With like
so
the
this
big
one,
blade.
right?
Yeah,
This one you've got to like wedge yourself into
Yeah.
it almost
because you have to push it down, right? Like a paper cutter.
Like the
These
paper
are the ones I
cutter
used in
in that other
woodshop.
show, them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think no, but this one you don't push it down. This is the one you flip on a switch and you bring the wood to it. So it's shaped like a sewing.
oh,
Think of a
yeah.
sewing machine. That opening,
Okay, I
you're
forgot.
gonna push it through like you would fabric.
I think
This
I was
one-
looking away in this part, Kelly, so I can't
Oh, okay.
verify any of this. I'm
So
sorry.
it's that one. Yeah. So now you're gonna picture how tricky this is because it's this one that has that small opening or that opening. She has to position herself into this to what she's going to do. So she runs over to the bandsaw, turns it on, and she lines her face and eyes up surprisingly well and accurate
For not being
for
able
this
to
blade.
see. Yeah.
Well, she
Right.
can. Well, no, she probably can see extra with them long
Well, yeah.
things.
Well, it's kind of narrowed vision because they're torpedo ends.
Mm.
So she can see, but I'm just like, just the way that this machine is shaped, it's like, wow, you got a good lineup there.
Imagine if you were
So-
seeing like shots of what vision she's seeing through the long torpedo eyes.
Yeah,
That
we
would
only
be
get
so
one little
creepy.
shot of it, and that's how we can tell it's like blurry.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
But she also took her glasses off. She probably and they're
Well,
thick.
they knocked 'em
the
off,
eyes
yeah.
took
My
the
girl can't
glasses
see
off,
well
yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so she, like I said, she lines her face and eyes up well to the blade, and she cuts both of her eyes off. And this happens just as Lily gets to the room in time to scream, "Marge, no!" but not actually reach her before the cutting happens.
Ugh.
The eyes are gone, and there's blood everywhere. But before Marge can go in and do a second cleanup cut, which it looks like she was considering doing, Lily grabs
Take
her.
a little more off.
I know. She's like,
Little
I
off
think I can get a little more down before it hits my nose. That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, she's got to be accurate with this next one.
Yeah.
But thankfully, Lily grabs her and throws her to the floor. And Marge tries and grabs that chisel again because she wants to finish off the job. But Lily jumps on top of her and wrestles it out of her hands. So now all of this screaming and crying and saws and carrying on has gotten the attention of a good amount of the student body, including the lunchroom. And so
I'm
a
picturing
large...
the eyes like squirting blood out of the ends and it like going all over like a hose, going crazy.
Yeah, it went crazy. I mean, you see these like two
yikes.
tubes pop off of her face and then blood
Oh my
splatters
gosh,
everywhere.
This
Yeah.
is gross, you guys.
I know. So a large group of kids now led by Will, Rich, and Ronnie, followed by the patty cakes and some extras, run into the room where they see Marge missing at least one eye, blood everywhere, and a loony Lily Bainbridge sitting on top of her holding a chisel. So naturally the
no.
gossip writes itself.
Yeah.
Of course.
I can imagine how it looks.
I feel like I'd ask my kids that day, like, what happened at school today? Nothing. And then I'd look in the newspaper and a little girl tried to chop her own eyeballs off in the shop room. Like,
Probably.
oh, well, okay.
Yeah. They would probably be like, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Same old, same old.
Over at the Hanlon house, Charlotte is making dinner when Leroy comes home with some energy that I do not like. And he says, he doesn't say hi. He just immediately says, "What were you doing in town today?" I was like, first of all, you don't
Excuse
walk in the
me.
house like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Charlotte is like, "What do you mean?" And Leroy says, "Polly said he saw you in town going into the police station." So Polly's narc bitch ass ran and snitched to Leroy like it's any of his business where his wife is when she's out.
They did not have the snitches get stitches
No, I guess
saying
not.
back then, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I could like tell on her if you see her like going out with a man, but she can go into the police station if she feels
Yeah,
like it.
what
Like,
do
what are
you-
you tattling for?
Maybe she's there to report a crime.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, she tells him that it's about the man who got arrested for a murder he didn't commit. His daughter and our son are friends, so I want to help. Leroy tells her not to go looking for trouble and that she swore to him that she wouldn't start this stuff up again here. He begs her not to stir the pot and just trust that what he's doing here in Derry is too important for her to mess it up. And Charlotte just smiles and says, "You don't have to worry about me." Later that night, Will is in bed, and he's trying to sleep when he keeps having flashes of being pulled underwater by his burned father. He can't sleep, so he gets up and he looks through his telescope out at the stars, and then he starts looking around his street. And then there's a jump scare when he spots a clown, that same clown figure from the graveyard, but now it's a full clown, so now I see what they were seeing.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's standing under a tree looking at him.
Oh,
He's-
no.
He screams, and his parents rush to him, and he tells them he saw someone watching him, and Leroy immediately blames Charlotte and says, "See what you did? Now we have people watching the house."
Yeah, just totally neglecting the clown part of it.
Well, he just said someone's watching. He didn't say
Someone,
anything about
yeah.
the
Oh,
clown.
he
He's
didn't
like,
say the
someone's
clown.
watching.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah. Leroy then runs outside with a fire poker looking for the guy, but he doesn't find anyone. But on his way back inside of the house, he looks up in that tree and he sees a red balloon floating in the branches. The next day, Leroy marches into General's office and says to him, "What the hell do you have us chasing?" Shaw takes Leroy over to an interrogation room where they have a young Native American man in his 20s named Daniel. And this is the guy that is Rose's nephew.
Yeah, the nephew.
Daniel?
So, yeah,
Daniel, like
yeah,
Daniel,
it's the
but with a
worst
T.
name. It's
All
so
right.
bad. It
I
annoyed me
know.
the whole time.
All right.
It's gonna sound like I keep saying Daniel, but I'm
It's
trying to say
Daniel.
Daniel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
it bothered
Yeah.
me the whole time.
Probably a family name.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm assuming that, like, I immediately thought of like Tevin Campbell because it's not Kevin,
Oh,
it's Tevin.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So they have him handcuffed to a chair, and he has been detained for watching the base. Daniel knows the location of what they're looking for. So they watch through a two-way mirror as Halloran interrogates him. Halloran tells Daniel, "What they want me to do to you will not be pleasant. So it's best for you if you just tell us what we want to know." But instead of doing that, Daniel decides to spit in Halloran's face. Halloran then laughs and says, "Oh, Daniel, I'm so sorry I'm about to do this."
Oh, Daniel.
Yeah, that's kind of how he says it. Halloran puts 3 fingers on his forehead and he begins to concentrate and sends his mind-bending, psychic, shining gifts into Daniel's mind. Daniel begins to grunt and thrash around in pain as his mind is being torn through. Once in his mind, Halloran sees a room full of doors, and behind each door is a memory of Daniel's. Halloran zeroes in on the door that he needs and he opens it. And inside, we see Daniel as a younger kid, maybe 10, and he's in his room playing. His Aunt Rose comes in to talk to him. She asks him if he remembers the story of the monster in the western woods. Daniel says all the kids know that story. The elders made them memorize it when they were 7. Rose tells them that some stories are meant to teach lessons, but some of them are real. And Daniel says, "You're telling me that the story of the Galloo, which is what they call the it monster, is real?" Rose asks Daniel to tell her the story because she wants to make sure that he remembers how it all began. So I'm going to tell the story the way Daniel tells it so that it can be accurate, because it's kind of just going to be word for word. The story goes that millions of years ago, before the time of the first people, an evil spirit was cast down from the darkest part of the night sky, bound inside a falling star. But when the star struck the earth, it broke open and the spirit was set free. It roamed the woods for many snows and countless moons until the creation of our first ancestors. The star that carried the monster, that had been its cage, and the stone it was made from still held power. Our wisest took a shard from that star and carved a weapon to protect our people from the monster, which we named the Galloo. We kept the dagger close and stayed away from the western woods. As years went by, the legend of the Galloo was passed down from generation to generation. We lived in balance with the monster by staying outside of its reach and never hunting its territory. Until one day, the settlers arrived. We warned them of the danger of the western wood, but they chose to ignore us. They hunted the woods, and just as we had warned them, they were hunted. The glue fed on them and grew stronger and more powerful. The monster would soon be able to hunt outside of the western wood. Seski, the village's great warrior chief, was called to council by the clan mothers. The creature had grown too powerful. A single dagger could no longer protect all of the villages. To save their people, a decision was made. They would have to leave, but Seski's daughter, Nakani, did not want to leave her land. She believed that there was another way. She took the dagger past the great dead woods with her friends, and they arrived at the western woods seeking the cave where the Galloo crashed to gather more of the sacred stone. When Seski realized that her daughter and the dagger were missing, they formed a search party to bring them both back. But without the dagger, they had nothing to protect them from the Galloo. The monster showed itself to them in the shape of the things that they feared the most. It separated the war party one by one, and before she knew it, Seski found herself alone. Seski's only hope was in her daughter's hands. Even Seski, the great warrior, was no match for the Galloo. By the time her daughter found her, it was too late, and Seski's spirit was slipping away, and she went to be with the ancestors. Nakani knew she had to still fight for her people, so she took the dagger and braved the western woods one last time. They found the cave and broke off shards of the ancient star. A plan was formed, not to kill it, but to cage it. They would use the shards of its old bindings, the only thing the Galloo feared, to keep our people safe again. The children circled the western woods and they buried 13 sacred shards deep into the earth. Over each stone, they lit a fire to mark its place, in a line that the Galloo could not cross. Our people made a sacred promise to guard the pillars and keep their place secret, so the monster trapped inside could never break free. So that is the legend of the It monster. If
Wow,
anyone has ever of how it became, how it got to Earth, basically.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yes, yeah.
That's
So, but a little more background, and that kind of ties in more Stephen King universe.
Yeah.
So, it is an entity that is incomprehensible to the human eye and mind. The closest people get to seeing its true form are the Deadlights, and you hear more about them in the It movies, the Deadlights. And when a person looks at the Deadlights for too long, their mind goes crazy. So the place where it comes from is known as Todash space. And in Stephen King's Dark Tower series, we learn that essentially Todash space is that dark void space between worlds. So in the It books, we learn that in that same cosmic realm of Todash space that it comes from, there is another entity that acts as a cosmic and karmic counterbalance for it. And that creature is called Maturin, and it takes the form of a turtle.
Oh.
So that's why the turtles are good, because it's the balance to it. So Maturin, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Stephen King was definitely like
On some stuff?
high
Yeah,
when he was
Oh,
coming up
yeah.
with this, right?
this whole world, yeah.
'Cause this is a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. So Maturin created the legend is that Maturin created the entire universe when he vomited it up one day after a tummy ache. And yes, it is true. It is in the books. So
Okay, all right. I'll roll with it.
another tie-in, Maturin is also the guardian of one of the 12 beams that holds up the Dark Tower in the Dark Tower series, which, like I mentioned before, that
Oh.
series to me is the center of the Stephen King universe.
That's cool.
Everything kind of branches from that, I feel
So
like.
the turtle thing is like a positive
Mhm.
opposite to
It's
it.
a cosmic counterbalance to it. So you like with good, you have to have evil type
Got
of
it.
thing. Yep.
Okay.
So it's the good.
Okay.
It is, I guess, as good as it can be. I don't know anything's true good or true evil is kind of
True. Yeah.
that thing. But and then one more note, since we're already talking a little bit about the Dark Tower here, I wanted to point out that there's a little Easter egg in episode 1 or 2 of Welcome to Derry, where we see Lily drinking and picking at the label of a bottle of orange soda called Fizzla Cola. So in the Dark Tower series, products and brand names are one of the ways in which characters are able to identify which worlds or levels of the Dark Tower they are on. So our reality that you and I exist in right now does exist in the Stephen King universe, and it's called the Keystone World. And one of the main clues that characters know that they are in the Keystone World is when they see the brand Coca-Cola.
Ooh, my
So you will
favorite.
not see Coca-Cola appear on, they shouldn't if they did their work right, appear in Welcome to Derry or anything else, because they are in a totally different world from ours.
Oh, that's neat. That's
I
pretty
like
cool.
that.
So once the story has been heard, Halloran reveals himself in Taniel's memory and asks the young Taniel to tell him where the pillars are now. Taniel walks to a door and opens it, and then there's this blinding white light at first. Taniel points straight ahead and tells Halloran, "Through there. Follow the tunnels under the old well, and you'll find the pillars." The bright light dies down, and we see what he is pointing to, and it is the old abandoned house in town that's in the It movies, and it's referred to as Nebolt House. And
Is
that's
that
where
the
it
one
ends.
that the kids walk by and they're all
Yep.
creeped out by it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That
Okay.
underneath that house is a tunnel that will take you to the pillars that's
Mm.
guarding it. But that's where that episode concludes.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
so
crazy. Wow, the whole backstory is like so involved.
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, I tried to summarize it as best I could.
No, you did a great
Yeah.
job.
No, you really
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it made it so much more interesting for me to realize that it's not just some clown, like that,
Mhm.
and then it'll all get tied in later.
It's complex.
Yeah, but
Yes.
that there's
Yeah.
a real
Mhm.
backstory, and I really like that part. So Yeah.
Yeah, I like that it's almost like, I mean, they don't say it, but I think people are just kind of picturing an alien. But then when you know, like the whole thing of its counterpart being like Maturin, and he started the whole universe with
Yeah.
the throwing it up with the tummy ache. So you kind of, I guess, if you know Greek mythology, I kind of think of it as like Kronos. If you know that origin story,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it's
how
kind of
he
like
ate all
that.
his
Okay.
How he ate all
children
his
and
kids, and like
yeah.
Zeus figured out a way for him to vomit him
Zeus.
back up, and those are all the Titans because he ate all his brothers and sisters. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh-huh.
that's good.
So that's kind
That's
of how
cool.
I see him. Maybe Steven was inspired by stuff like that. I don't know when he was creating this world,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Well, we
yeah.
need to get him on here and to talk to you about it
right.
because I mean, he
Yeah,
lives
we
right
need
by
more
us.
explanation.
He lives
Yeah.
right by
I need to
you.
finish the Dark Tower series because the more I learn about it, because I had only read the first book and a half, but I know it's good. It was really good. I don't know what my problem is. Sometimes I just start jumping around
I
to
mean,
other
his
books. I
books
need to
aren't
just finish
short.
them.
I can tell you that. That
Yeah,
It book,
No.
true.
the It book is like 1 billion pages long.
It's huge.
That's why I've never
yeah.
taken that one on. Like, I've read
Yeah.
so many that spill into this world. It's like, I guess I just
I
need to
have it
finally
here if
read
you
this
want to
one.
borrow it. You can borrow it for
Okay.
years if you need to. So
I'm surprised you're not intimidated by a big book, Kelly. So I'm surprised that
No.
you haven't.
I
But
don't know. Which is yeah, because I've read all like the ones. There's other ones I'll bring up, but I'll bring up other tie-ins. I guess when we're done with the whole story, because
uh-huh.
it'll make more sense then. But I'm like, I've read all these, and I didn't know how
yeah,
closely they tie into this through Dark Tower and stuff like that. So
it's got to be hard to keep track of everything. But the branding thing is really interesting
I
and
thought that was
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
it
I
is
like
cool.
that. That's
Yeah.
a cool detail.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it.
Nice.
And I forget. I don't know if that next episode is the Pennywise one. It might be the one. I don't know. We'll figure. We'll
I
find
can't
out.
remember
know.
either because
I can't remember
I
which one
binged
it
the
is. Yeah.
entire series and now I'm watching it like one at a time again. So I don't know
So yeah.
I don't know
blurs
what's
together, yeah.
episode 5 or what's episode 9 or what, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. It's like a
Yeah.
movie in
So
my
I'm really
mind.
I'm trying to be careful with not to reveal too
Same.
much that might come up later. So
Same. Yeah.
I'm really excited to get to more of that part of it specifically, just to see.
yeah, I found that was probably the most interesting to me part of this series
Same.
is like you finally get to learn all this backstory.
I don't always
That
love
we
a
didn't know.
sequel, but I usually love a prequel. Like I like a backstory. I like
Me
learning
too.
the lore behind something that I actually really already enjoy. Sometimes sequels can fall flat, but I think usually a prequel is solid. So
Mhm.
this is good.
Yeah.
And I like how, like
Yeah.
you said, they're going to keep going back to different iterations of
Mhm.
the
Yeah, so-
entity.
Further and further back,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, the next fans guesses season 2 would be the
1930 whatever one.
yeah, the one that's 1935-ish, and so it relates to that car being pulled out of the mud and that Chris and I have both talked about. But if you watch like those opening credits, you see that scene of like the mobsters, all like
yeah.
the guns. I think that's
We would
season
get that
2. Like that's
story.
the big
Okay.
incident. Yeah, we'll get the story of that one.
So it wasn't always children either, Leo, is what you kind of realize when they talk about the
Yeah.
murders that took place in the 30s. It was
Mhm.
there was a massacre that kind of took place. So,
Yeah,
Oh.
and we'll see the
Alright.
massacre. There's one here this season. Yes, that's what I was referring to, the black spot, but we will get to that
okay.
episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
I won't say anything else.
Mhm.
Sorry.
How many episodes are there this
I
season?
think just 8.
8. Yeah.
Okay.
We're halfway
Mhm.
done now.
Halfway done, yep.
Well,
Well,
considering like how chaotic and wild some of these scenes are, it sounds like a really good show.
Mm-hmm.
it is.
You
It
know,
really
considering
is.
even like the silly parts, it's like they balance it out well with like scary and gross and
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
interesting.
good story and a lot of lore, but then they throw in your horror and shock value with
Mhm.
all like the crazy things. Like that I saw that I did not see that episode
Me
coming
neither.
That's
all.
that's intense.
at all.
And the good kid actors too make such a big difference, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we will be back next week with episode 5 of Welcome to Derry. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
For more information about our episodes, follow us on Instagram at Fear and Wine Pod. And if you have a fun discussion question that you'd like for us to answer on the podcast, send it to us at fearandwinepod@gmail.com.